Hello everyone, TMMgamer here, and today I have the pleasure of bringing you another one of my FIFA 14 gameplay videos. Now this gameplay is a really interesting game against a very good team. If I remember correctly off the top of my head, this was a pretty strong 5-star Premier League team. I mean, you saw just from the picture straight there, you know, we had Joe Hart and Gail Clichy walking out into the middle, so this team must be pretty sweet. It is a league game, I think, not a cup game, so, you know, pretty important to try and get the 3 points, you know, especially early on. The earlier you can get up those leagues, the better. The more money you start to make, the better your team gets, and, you know, begin to start the snowball. So this is a really interesting game to watch in the background, certainly worth a view. But what I'm going to be spending most of this commentary talking about is a couple of random different topics, really, because I've been seeing a lot of messages, not just in the past week, but over like months and months of, you know, you guys asking me to spend a lot more time just talking about what I'm doing, talking about real life, talking about football, other games, you know, all of that sort of stuff. So what I'm going to be trying to do is, obviously I do very dedicated FIFA commentary for my tutorials and for the live commentaries. You know, most of the time that is very much about the game, because obviously tutorials are there to tell you how to play the game, and because live commentary is much more intimate and intense and in the moment, you know, I always seem to get caught up in the games I play and record. So that's always, you know, the core FIFA content. I'm not going to change that for any length of time, I don't think. As long as I'm going to be doing YouTube, I'm probably going to still be doing FIFA videos, so don't worry about that. But what I wanted to do today is just talk a little bit about just gaming and what I'm doing and what I plan, and then I'm going to round up just talking a little bit about England, and I mean England football as well. So if you guys are here for football, don't worry, there'll be plenty of football. But, you know, firstly I'm going to talk about something a little bit disappointing, because originally what I was planning to do today and yesterday in fact was to upload some GTA 5 online. And I've been looking forward to GTA 5 Online for absolutely ages. As soon as that game was announced and as soon as it had multiplayer announced, I was looking forward to it, because, you know, I really love GTA 4 multiplayer, and GTA 4 multiplayer was just pretty basic in the grand scheme of things. It was just, you know, deathmatch. It had some interesting game modes. My own personal favourite was cops and robbers. So one group of you were the police officers and the other police guys were fleeing mafia members, and the mafia team had to get a boss to a helicopter or a boat and escape, and the cops had to stop them. And just, you know, games like that were really fun, and I really enjoyed it. And seeing what they were planning with GTA 5 and the scale of this thing, it's got me so interested and so up for it. And then obviously, unfortunately, over the past 3 or 4 days, there has been just absolute anarchy on the servers, and there's another fantastic goal I concede. I never concede good goals. I always concede rebounds, bobbles, defensive errors. I mean, that was a lovely through ball. Just finish, just put it in the bottom corner. No, Vorm has to make the save, and then my 6 defenders all have to have a mother's meeting at that precise moment, and the striker can wander in and podge it into an empty net. So please, people, score good goals against me when I'm online, because then at least I think, well, do you know what? Yeah, I lost the game, but at least I lost to a 35-yarder. Not, well, I lost the game and I lost it to a dodgy bobble and then a scumbag. So that's slightly off tangent there, but like I've been mentioning, I was really disappointed GTA has been missing out, and I was planning to get videos up for you guys, but I physically couldn't get online. You know, I got online, I think I tried for about 5 times over the past 2 or 3 days, and the most I managed to do was I completed the tutorial. So I completed the tutorial, and the last mission in the tutorial has you drive to this location and say, this is how you start missions from here or over here, or this is what you do. And then I tried to join a mission and it crashed, and then I reloaded it, and it had wiped my character, and I was like, I'm not doing a tutorial again. I could not be bothered to do that. So then I waited a bit, tried again a bit later. It had found my character this time, but then I reloaded, tried to get into a mission, tried to join a friend. That crashed and failed. So at the end of the day, after about 3 hours of wasted effort last night and about an hour and a half the night before, I just decided, screw it, I'll do something else. So little bit of an apology. Well, it's not my fault at all, is it? I've tried. Blame Rockstar. You know, this is the thing that I can never get my head around with games companies, especially games like FIFA, games like Call of Duty, games like especially Grand Theft Auto. I mean, you must know how many people are going to be online on your game. You have already got $1 billion worth of sales already. You must realise that some people are wanting to play your game online. It's got to be inevitable. So I can never ever understand, as Michael Carrick scores a beaut there, I can never understand why companies don't get better servers on launch day. I mean, all you have to do is buy additional servers or rent additional servers for the first week and a half, and then obviously the demand will begin to go down, but not because people don't like your game, but because on release day every single person who's bought that game will be playing it pretty much. And if you're going to release a multiplayer online mode, hype it up so big. Say you've been working on it since like the second generation of GTA games, like on the previous generation of consoles. You say you've had it in mind since then. You know, of course you're going to get people excited, and then you just have these dodgy servers. And for me, it's a little bit unforgivable. And I'm not going to be hating Rockstar too much because they've made a game that I am drooling over every time I play it. I mean, GTA is one of the few games where you can just go on, accomplish absolutely nothing for 4 hours, and walk off with a massive smile on your face. I mean, what games do that? I mean, very, very few games do that, and I absolutely love the single player. But for me, this is just a blot on the copybook that didn't need to be there. Just a little bit of prior planning. You know, prior preparation prevents piss poor performance, and you know, Rockstar really balls up this time. Why don't people learn? You know, people always put DRM in, they always have limited server capacity, and it always comes back and bites them on the ass. And it seems like every month or two there's this new story of internet disaster on an online game. So you'd think they'd actually begin to sort it out, but obviously not. But never mind, hopefully they get it fixed in the next couple of days. That is the grand plan anyway, and as soon as that's fixed I will definitely be uploading some GTA Online, because like I mentioned, I love that game, and what little I played in the multiplayer was just enough to tantalise me. I mean, I only scratched the veneer off the paint of, you know, the GTA Online, and I'm already impressed with what I see. If it works seamlessly, if I can connect to it without having to tear my hair out, that would take some effort, but tear my hair out, I'll definitely be on that. But never mind, until GTA is done, I've got plenty of FIFA stuff coming, and probably some Terraria stuff as well, because I don't know if you guys know, there's been a lot of games news coming out over the past couple of weeks, so it might have been swamped underneath all of that if you guys didn't see it. But Terraria, which is a sort of a side-scrolling Minecraft, and this is doing it a bit of a disservice because it's a great game in its own right. It's not just a parody of Minecraft, it's a very, very good game, and I thoroughly enjoy it. And one of the great bits of news about Terraria is about 2 years ago, I think, probably around there, the devs announced that they weren't going to release any updates for PC, and that was a very, very sad thing, because Terraria, in my opinion, is definitely a game which is much better on PC. However, what they did do is they did a console version, so it came out on PS3, came out on Xbox, and they released a host of new updates for it, new biomes, new enemies, all sorts of stuff. That proved to be pretty successful, so what they've gone back and done is they've basically launched version 2 of Terraria now. So there's been massive updates. I think there's over 1,000 new items, there's new wars, there's new biomes, there's new everything. So they've basically made an entirely new game based on the original Terraria with just so much more stuff added, and I'm hopefully, fingers crossed, going to be getting into that over the next couple of days. I've already started playing it a little bit. I've started my own world at the moment, my own single player world, just to pootle around and have a little bit of fun, and at the same time I've started a multiplayer world with a couple of guys I play online with, and that's gone alright so far. You know, we're very, very early, and we've basically just built a shelter and explored the surface a little. You know, that's basically all we've done. So what I'm going to be looking to do is, depending on how I play that and how I enjoy it and who I play with and what times, I'm going to be trying to record some of that and perhaps get a little bit of that up, because, you know, what I'm looking to do, and one of the things that keeps YouTube fresh for me and keeps games in general fresh for me, is playing a whole variety of games. And you know, I've done this right now. I didn't play any FIFA yesterday, and I played barely any FIFA the day before, and this is because I don't. No, hang on. I need to phrase this correctly. This isn't because I don't like FIFA. There we go. Great day for language there. You know, you can tell I'm degree educated, can't you? I can stumble over my words like my tongue's too big for my mouth. But the reason why I haven't really played that much FIFA is because I want to keep it fresh. You know, I don't want to burn out on a game 3 months in and then not play it for the rest. So I'm bringing in GTA. Obviously, I'm very lucky at the moment because there's been a lot of fantastic games being released that I own and I can play. Like Rome 2 Total War, I own that. Had a few problems, there's no doubt about that, had a few bugs, but they are supporting that game very, very well. I've already released 3 pretty major patches for that game, so, and I enjoyed it on release day. I mean, I was fortunate enough not to experience too many bugs. In fact, I don't think I found, in fact, there was one bug, there was an agent bug which I had recurring quite a few times in my thing, but, you know, the battles were pretty seamless. The campaign management was pretty seamless. You know, I didn't really have too many problems, so I can't complain about that game. But I really do enjoy it. I enjoy that game, I enjoy GTA, I enjoy FIFA. Now Terraria's come out, I enjoy that. I've still got a Minecraft multiplayer world, a little bit on the burner at the moment. It's a little bit slow, nothing's really gone on for a while, but that's still an option to do. So I'm in a good position gaming-wise at the moment. This always happens this time of year. You know, there's a massive wasteland of releases for 2 months where you're very, very unlikely to get anything, and then all of a sudden AAA games come falling out of every orifice. And great little games such as Terraria come out with new updates and brand new content. So I'm in a pretty good place at the moment. So I'm just going to be going around and exploring all of those games. So that's the plan coming up anyway. Just to finish the commentary off, let's see how long I've got left. I've got about 7 minutes left. That's actually ideal. Let's have a quick sip of a cup of tea first. Fully recommend you guys. If you've never tried tea before, I understand a lot of you guys are American or from different parts of Europe or all over the world, and perhaps tea isn't your thing or you haven't tried it. Go and drink tea. It's perfect. The drink that's perfect for every situation. You could be sitting outside, chilling, or you could be in a serious meeting with many world politicians, and a cup of tea will fit in perfectly into every situation. So that's my plug for the tea industry done. Let's talk a little bit about international football now. And I know a lot of you guys want me to do this more often, so I thought I'd talk a little bit about the England squad. Now, obviously, England have got their 2 final qualifiers coming up in the next couple of weeks for the Brazil World Cup at the end of the season. And we are top of our group. I think we're top of our group by a point. But it has been a largely underwhelming performance. I mean, when you go away to Ukraine, play pretty badly and get a 0-0 and your manager calls it a good result, you understand like how shocking your national team is. So I'm a little bit disappointed with that. And I have to say, I am disappointed with the squad Rory Hodgson's picked as well. And I've got the squad up here. And yeah, I'm just going to run through it quickly if you guys haven't got it. It's Hart, Forster, Ruddy, Baines, Jones, Cahill, Jagielka, Smalling, Cole and Walker. Those are the defenders. And Gerrard, Lampard, Cleverley, Barkley, Wilshere, Carrick, Walcott, Milner and Townsend are the midfielders. And then up front, Welbeck, Sturridge, Defoe, Lambert, Rooney. So it's a pretty standard squad, and this is why I'm a bit disappointed in Roy Hodgson, because he keeps making a play and keeps making a big deal out of the fact that he says he picks squads on merit and not on reputation. And I have to say, so far this season, I think that's completely wrong, because you've got a player, for example, like Michael Dawson, and this is the major example I want to bring up here. Spurs have had an absolutely fantastic defensive record so far this season, and Michael Dawson's played very, very well, yet he's not even in the squad. However, Chris Smalling and Phil Jones, who've played in a United team that have struggled. In fact, you know, Manchester United, they don't even play a lot of the time. Rio Ferdinand's played most of the games. You know, whenever Jones and Smalling seem to get in, they seem to play out of position at right back. You know, yet they're in the team almost on a whim, you know, just de facto. Oh, they're in, they're straight in there. Same point for Tom Cleverley in midfield. You know, Tom Cleverley, I think he's so overrated, because everyone talks about what a class player he is and how good he is and what massive potential he's got. But if you actually look at his performances, especially over for like the start of this season and in the last 2 or 3 months of last season, he hasn't done a lot. Yet his name is pretty much always in the squad. And you know, you've got players lower down the division. You know, obviously the main example of this was Ricky Lambert, who played well for like a year and a half before getting any recognition at all and getting into the England squad. And you've got players playing at clubs like Norwich. I mean, when Grant Holt had his fantastic season last year, nothing, no one batted an eyelid, didn't get anywhere near him. You know, all of this stuff, you see so many players overlooked. And I mean, I might say someone a little bit controversial here, but I think Fabian Delph actually deserves more of a place in this England squad than Tom Cleverley does at the moment, because Fabian Delph, I don't think he's a better player than Cleverley necessarily, but on form he's been playing much better. You know, he's been fantastic for us so far this season. He's a little bit of a hothead. He's almost a guaranteed walking yellow card every game, but he puts himself about, he puts challenges in, and what's really impressed me recently is his skill on the ball's dramatically improved. You know, he beats players now. He looks like he's under pressure. He'll receive the ball under pressure and he'll do something with it. It might just be like a little half turn and a pass to the edge of the area, but that will create space. And he creates space. He's mobile. He puts a challenge in. And to be honest, those are all of the things that Tom Cleverley isn't doing at the moment. You know, Tom Cleverley has had an average start to the season at best, yet he's an absolute shoe-in for the England squad. You know, players like Michael Dawson's had a fantastic start to the season, yet he doesn't get in because someone who sits on United's bench every week does. And this is a thing that I think's been a problem with the England team for a while now. And, you know, for many, many years back, in fact. You know, players get picked and played on reputations alone and nothing else. And you know, I'm sorry to bring up another United player again, but Ashley Young, how is that player in any England squad? He has done nothing at United for 8 or 9 months. Absolutely nothing. He makes Nani look good. That's how bad Ashley Young's playing at the moment. The only thing he ever does is dive. And you know, why are players like this in the England squad? I mean, I agree with Roy Hodgson to some extent that, you know, the pool of national players is pretty low, and it is. I mean, you look at the standard of English players playing in the Premier Division. There's not that many great players. I mean, the ratio's low, which isn't helpful. But if all of those people playing in the Premier League were of a reasonable standard, you know, that's not going to be a problem. But you're not going to see, oh, Charles Nzobia, I forgot how good a goal that is. In fact, if you look from the angle behind, you see the swerve he hit to the outside foot. Oh, absolute beauty of a finish this. But yeah, sorry for the distraction again. But this is what I mean. There's so many players are picked for England teams because they play for a particular side, or they, it's just, I don't even know. You know, that they might have had a big money move, and yet that gets them in somehow. And the players who put a shift in week out in the Premier League and do well and have good performances get overlooked. And part of it, I suppose, is Hodgson at this stage of the qualification being unwilling to change. But even so, you know, Michael Dawson's an experienced Premier League player. He's got many England caps. He can step in and do a much better job than I think Chris Smalling can at the moment. So why is he not in the team? And this is something that's beginning to make me question Roy Hodgson a little bit, because I was always in favour of Roy Hodgson, and I still am. I think it was definitely a good idea to get him in instead of Harry Redknapp. I wouldn't trust Harry Redknapp with a pen, never mind the England national squad. But Hodgson needs to sharpen himself up. His tactical ability has been strange. He seems to chop and change his formation pretty much every game. His squad choices have been a little bit dodgy. I mean, I'm pleased he's picked players like Barkley and Townsend, but like I mentioned, the Youngs, the Smallings, the Cleverleys of this world shouldn't be in the England team at the moment. You know, perhaps next squad, perhaps in 6 months, almost certainly they'll be on the plane, but right now, on form, they should not be in the England squad. And this is what I'm worried about. Too often this nation is picked on reputation, and reputation doesn't win you in football matches. And we've seen that this qualification tournament. You know, we do not win enough football matches. We need to put players in our England team who are playing well, who are the best 11 players in the country at a particular period in time. Now, two days later, they might not be the best player in the country because someone might suddenly find a rich aim of form, and that's fine. You get them in then. At the moment, I think we are 17th in the world rankings, and I have to say I think that's fairly accurate. You know, our national team isn't a great national team. We have a lot of great individual players, but we haven't delivered at an international tournament for a long, long time. And, you know, what do we normally do? We get through the groups. We might, if it's a World Cup, win one knockout round, then we crash out in the last 16. You know, 17th is roughly where we've been. So when the ratings had us at second or third, that was just simply ludicrous. I have no idea how that happened. But it's something that needs to change, and we've got enough decent players in this country to warrant picking on form. It's not like we're some very, very small country who only have 15 players playing in the high division, so you have to pick those same players. We do have enough players to start to pick on form. And hopefully Roy Hodgson does that. So guys, that's the end of the commentary. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've run over slightly, but I got into talking about football a little bit there. So hope you've enjoyed that. But plenty of FIFA stuff coming. Plenty of GTA when they sort the servers out. And obviously plenty of football talk. So guys, once again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And as always, have a great day.